Hey, good day, everybody. Welcome back to another class live from Jerusalem with Rabbi Chaim Goldberg and his Genesis class. It's always a pinnacle of the week for me. I enjoy hearing more and more from the Hebrew tradition about the book of Genesis and how it relates to all of us around the world. He's always joined in his Zoom room by many people from around the world. It's always an exciting time. We got people from South Africa today. We got people in Poland, I see. We got people in the UK. We got people all over. So it's a joy. Let's just jump right in and see how the rabbi's doing. Rabbi Goldberg, you're live on the air, sir. It's your show, and take it away.
Good evening to everybody from Jerusalem. Good to see you all. We have also a few people from Kenya here, right? Tukowa and Kevin Obara. Good to see you also from Kenya. It's South End. We have also people from South America and from India. Wow. Amazing. Good evening to everybody. Good to see you. Let's straight ahead dive inside. Before we'll dive inside, I will say a few words. I don't know if you know, in Israel, we have already more than 1 million people who got the vaccine against the coronavirus. So 1 million, it's not most of the population, but 1 million is almost most of the elders of the population. It's related a bit to the joke we said 2 weeks ago about how are we dealing with our elders, and that they are related more to God and not to the monkeys. So, so for us, it's a joy that we managed to do that. I think that it's an amazing situation. It's related to the government and especially for Netanyahu that did that. And hopefully, we hope that another 2 months from now, we will be after this pandemic. And then we need to pray for the rest of the world also that they will manage to pass over this pandemic. So I think that we can say here that it's only the opening, the beginning of a new stage. And let's go now and learn from Genesis. Now, Lee Fogel will join us later on with the Brit Shalom book. We will continue on with the Brit Shalom, but let's start with Genesis. And I want, if it's okay, straight ahead to jump to, it's not here, sorry. I prepared everything. Oh, where is it? And here it is, I think this is it. Yeah. Wow, here it is. See? Chapter number 10. Now, chapter number 10 of Genesis. We came to chapter number 10. Can you hear me loud and clear? Everything's okay, done.
Yeah, it seems fine, Rabbi. Always wish your microphone was closer, but it's okay.
It's also connected to my voice, not only to the microphone. Yes, I need to organize a better microphone. We came to chapter number 10. Chapter number 10 is a very interesting chapter.
Got this thing about.
It is starting before before the Hebrew nation is around, and we call this some sort of it's speaking about 70 different nations that we have from the sons of Noah who spread all over the world. Okay, and this is what is written down here. There are all sorts of names here. Some of them are more known, some of them are less known. We need to dive inside to this a bit. Tonight, what we're going to do is to do some preparations before we will dive inside to this chapter. This chapter is full with the logical of how exactly the world got spread over before the Babylon tower, before the Babylon diaspora that we had all over the world. But we know that still, before that also, we have the people who got spread over all over the world. And we have mainly 3 kids. We have Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Those are the 3 kids that we have. And they, those generations that was born after the flood, they were spread over all over the world. I want to say something a bit before that. Okay, please read if it's okay. Read verse number 5 first, and then we'll say something.
Verse 5, from these the islands of the nations separated into their lands, each one to his language, according to the families in their nations.
Okay, so we see here that we're starting to speak that there is a separation, and there will be also separation for the Ham kids. We will see this also. The Ham kids also is separating all over the world. You see here, please read verse number 20.
20, these are the sons of Ham according to their families and their tongues in their lands, in their nations.
Okay, so we see also the Ham families are going spreading all over the world. And we have also verse number 32.
32, these are the families of the sons of Noah according to their generations in their nations, and from these the nations were separated on the earth after the flood.
Okay, so three main kids, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, and they have a lot of kids. If you will count all the names here, you will find that it is 70. Now it's very interesting because if you think about this, in the rebellion of France, when France did the big rebellion where they said that everyone have, how do you call it, the French rebellion, and they changed a lot of things in the world to the counting of 10. Almost everything moved to the counting of 10. And they also tried to move the counting of the month for 3 tenths. Okay, we know that every month is or 30 or 31 days. So they also wanted that the month will be in the counting of 10, but they didn't manage. The counting of the week for all of the world is only, I don't know if you ever thought about this, why it is like that, and how we came to this situation where everybody is saying this is Sunday, this is Monday, this is Tuesday. No, we have only 7 days. Why do we have only 7 days? Now, the only reasonable idea how we came to 7 days is coming from the Bible, that God created the world in 6 days and he rested in the 7th day. This is the only reasonable way we can think how we came to the 7th day. Now, there's also a logical understanding here in this thing. And listen carefully. Well, let's take, for example, if I will take everything in this world, okay? I'm holding here something, some sort of a thing that I have. And as you can see, it's a box. And how many faces does this box have? It's have 6 faces, So we have on top, underneath, those are 2. We have from the right side, from the left side, another 2. Okay? Backwards and forward, another 2. So we have everything in this world have 3 dimensions, but basically it's 6 sides. But there is a difference. For this, for example, this is a box. It's containing something inside. This thing is not a box. This thing is already a phone. It's have different identity, different thing inside. We're taking the mouse that I have here, the mouse, not the mouse, the mouse of the computer. It's also have 6 sides, but these have different identity also than the phone, than the box. So each thing in this world have 6 sides, and the identity that is defining the thing itself. This is a mouse, it's helping us with the computer. This is a phone, it's helping us with the communications and with other things today. This is a tablet, for example. Okay, this is a book. Also the book. The book have 6 sides, but it is something else. The book, if you will be more specific, this book is speaking about San Riccardo in Italy that they found God, 100 years ago in some sort of ways. So each thing in this world have 6 sides, and the 7th is the main logic understanding of what's happening. So I came to this just to show this for a moment, that we have in our world some sort of beginning of things. the beginning of the um, the Noah family, the families in this world today is starting with Noah and his three sons, and this is what we have here. Also, the beginning of the week is on the same level. It starts with some sort of a point that started from the beginning that everybody understood. It's going together. When we're speaking about the maximum numbers, I will say it like that. So we're speaking about masses of people. We're not speaking about seven, we're speaking about 70, okay? 10 times of each one of the numbers. So those are the 70 nations that we have. How many people went down from the Hebrew nation to Egypt? Who remember the number?
70.
Wow, amazing. How did you thought about this number? Okay. People who went down to Egypt. Now, if you will see for a moment, a very interesting verse that is being written down in Deuteronomy. So you say it by them, Deuteronomy, right?
Deuteronomy, yes.
Deuteronomy. Okay, fair enough. Let me find it for a moment. Let's see if I nailed it. Ah, yes. Please, this is a very famous song, okay, that Moses is singing, saying to the Hebrew nation before he is dying, the day before, and the day that he is dying. And please read verse number 7.
7. Remember the days of old. Reflect upon the years of other generations. Ask your father, and he will tell you, your elders, and they will inform you.
Okay, what exactly they're going to inform you? Please read verse number 8. 8 and 9.
8.
Sorry. Okay.
8. When the Most High gave nations their lot, when he separated the sons of man, he set up the boundaries of peoples according to the number of the children of Israel, because the Lord's portion is his people, Jacob, the lot of his inheritance.
So what he's saying, we're saying here that he placed all the people and gave them boundaries. Okay, we're speaking about chapter 10 in Genesis, what we started to see now. He gave boundaries to everybody with the number of the Hebrew people. So the Hebrew people are some sort of, I will say, the point where everybody is here. I will say it in this way, okay? When I'm going to the diaspora, to places, okay? When I'm going to Vilnius, when I'm going to Canada, when I'm going to the United States, when I'm going to Europe, when I'm going to South Africa, wherever I'm going, I'm finding there Hebrew people that they're sitting in all sorts of places in the world. When you're coming to Jerusalem, all of you, also me, when I'm going to Jerusalem, and I'm sitting in the bus, I do see a lot of Hebrew people, but all of them are from a lot of countries. We have Ethiopian people, we have people that came from Vilnius, we have people that came from Kenya, and we have people that came from the United States. And each one of them, we're not calling them, they're Jewish, okay? But we're calling them, you're an American person. You're an England person. So we have here from all of the nations, people from all of the nations here in Israel. And this is what it says here in verse number 8 and 9. God took from all of the nations and he put them here as one nation, as the Jewish nation. And the 70 people of Israel who went down to Egypt is likely the 70 nations that we see in chapter number 10 here, okay? Until now, I'm clear enough? Everything is clear?
Crystal.
Okay, fine. Now I have another very important thing to say, and I'm preparing myself for next week. And it's very important to listen careful to what I have to say, because what I'm going to say is a bit, as usual, mind-blowing to people. They never thought like that, usually. But this is how the Hebrew nation is running along history. So it's time to things and to say it too loud and clear to everybody else. We have here something very, very unique, very unique. Please read verses number 8, 9, and 10.
8. And Cush begot Nimrod, and he began to be a mighty man in the land. 9. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. Therefore it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty hunter before the Lord. 10. And the beginning of his kingdom was Babylon and Erech and Akkad and Calneh in the land of Shinar.
Okay, what we see here, that there is someone here that began, it's a beginning, to be mighty man, to be someone who is hunting before the Lord. When we're saying hunting, we're not speaking about hunting animals, okay? First of all, I want to explain the word begin. The word begin already, we know already that it's have a very hard connotation. And we saw that already in chapter 4. Please let's read for a moment chapter 4. In chapter 4, read verse 25 and 26, and then we'll read something about the 26.
25. And Adam knew his wife again, and she bore a son, and she named him Seth, for God has given me other seed instead of Abel, for Cain slew him. And to Seth also to him a son was born, and he named him Enosh. Then it became common to call by the name of the Lord.
Again, we see here something, the word uchal, the same thing, the same word, uchal, it's became, okay? It's became common. It started, it's only started. What is became common? Please read Rashi for a moment.
Then it became common is an expression of profaneness, to name people and idols with the name of the Holy One, blessed be he, to make them idols and to call them deities. That's from Genesis Rabbi 23:7 and other sources.
Yes, okay. So what we see here, that the word begin, okay, the beginning of, is something that is reminding us some sort of idolatry. It's only the beginning. It's not a full way of explaining God. It's not a full way of being connected with God. So Adam, of course, knew God. Seth, of course, knew God. He heard it from his father. But the third generation, okay, the grandchildren, the grandchild, that his name is Enosh. Enosh in Hebrew is starting to forget. He started to forget God. He started to name others with this thing. So the word Huchal is the beginning of idolatry. Now we jump into chapter number 10, and we see the same word, begin, Huchel. He started to be very mighty man. Let's try to understand this a bit more in a profound way. So please, let's read Rashi for a moment. And to see, when we're speaking about the word Hechel, started, began, please.
He began to be a mighty man, to cause the entire world to rebel against the Holy One, blessed be he, with the plan of the generation of the dispersion.
Okay, so what we see here, first of all, the first thing, is that again, the same word, and our sages are saying, we can hear here again that we're speaking about idolatry. Let's understand a bit more what exactly he did, okay? Please read here in verse number 9, Rashi, from the beginning to the end. Read it.
Rashi says, a mighty hunter, he ensnared people's minds with his speech and misled them to rebel against the omnipresent. Before the Lord, he intended to provoke him to his face. Therefore, it is said about any man who is brazenly wicked, who recognizes his master and intends to rebel against him. It is said, this one is like Nimrod, a mighty hunter.
Okay, so I need to explain this a bit and to say things that are not written in Rashi, but they are written in the other things that our sages are saying. What happened there that Nimrod he got the clothing of Adam and Eve. If we all remember, when Adam and Eve did the sin, and they were naked, God set them out from Eden, but he gave them also a special clothing. Now, those special clothing that God gave Adam and Eve are showing the mercy of God. Even though you were rebelling against me, I'm helping you. Now, those clothing that Metushelach got them from Adam and he passed them on to Noah, and Ham stole it from Noah and gave it to Nimrod. Those clothings, on the outside of them, we'll say it like that, the outcome of them, that when someone was wearing them, the animals bowed down when they saw them, when they saw him. So everybody saw that when Nimrod is wearing those clothing, all the animals are bowing in front of him. And they started to say, okay, so this one is some sort of with a lot of powers. He can control all the animals. And they started to fear from him. Now, Nimrod was the first one who did a kingdom, or say it in another. He took people and he put them underneath him. We're starting to understand why we have here a bit of idolatry. He said that he is very important. He did it, of course, he did it with a lot of force and a lot of power and a lot of strength. So it wasn't, not everybody is saying to himself, okay, someone is coming here, he will be the king, I will be working for him. No, it started with a lot of hard work against people to become a king. He was the first one who said that there will be a king, and the others, I don't want to say, I think that it's very clear that everybody knows a long history, that there were stages, as we say about people.
Development, yeah.
Yeah, there were people who were on the king's side, okay, and there were the other people. This is why we had the rebellion in France 300 years ago, okay, where people said, no, we all want to have freedom, and we all want to have the possibility to be, by ourselves, by our own. We don't want to be under the king only, and what he says, and we are only secondary to the king. But from Nimrod time to the rebellion in France, we had this thing of kingdom. Who invented this idea? Nimrod. We're speaking about the son of Chaim, okay, one of the three kids of Noah. So if we started now a new world with 70 nations, we're starting it or still with something a bit hard, I'll say it like that. Now there is another thing, and I want to say it in the other side of the coin, okay? Nimrod was a rebellion. He was rebellion against God, as we said it before. Okay, we said it. You read it in Rashi. Okay, he caused the entire world to rebel against the Holy One. What exactly is his problem? It's very simple, and it's not only Nimrod. Nimrod is the first one, but Nimrod is not the last one. That everybody who did rebellion in this world till today, he was also not only rebelling against what happened in this world, but he was also rebellion against God, who gave to this world also some hard things. Let me explain this a bit. When we had, for example, the rebellion in France, where people had rebellions against the king, okay, and we all know the stay that the queen said there. They came to the queen and they said to her, the people don't have bread to eat. And she answered, okay, not a problem. They can eat cakes. Okay, she was so she wasn't connected with what's happening in the world. But when people had rebellion against the king in France, and then they started, all these three main words that we know today of freedom. How do you call it? Those three words, I forgot them. That you will have freedom to everyone, and that you will have a
liberty.
Yeah, liberty to everyone, those things. The main thing that people were upset, it wasn't only against the kings in Europe. They were also upset against God, who let this situation to become in this world. I know it's hard to listen to this, but you must understand that. You must understand that this is part of the situation. People were against. How come God gave that in this world there will be such a hard situation where people are controlling others. Let's go, for example, to the rebellion in Russia 100 years ago, okay? Where people rebelled against the, what's his name?
Alexander.
Alexander, yes, Alexander. People rebelled against Alexander, okay? And they decided to bring the world to a better world with the proletariat, what they called, okay? That there won't be any more all the stages, but everybody will control. Now, we all know where it went to, okay? At the end, we had, they killed almost something like 70 million people of their own people. But the rebellion wasn't only against Alexander. The rebellion was against God, who let a situation like that to be for 200 years. We need to understand that everyone who have a rebellion against something that is bad in this world, in some sort of a way, in behind, up there in the behind of these minds, there's also rebellion against God who brought to this bad situation. And everyone is sure that he is bringing the Messiah to this world. Now, the Messiah, at the end of the days, will bring the rebellion in the most perfect way. So we need to learn a bit what exactly was the rebellion of Nimrod, and why Abraham was with him for 48 years. 48 years, it's not 2 years. I don't know if I see the faces here. Some of you already knows how much time is it, 48 years. Some of you, know less. But Abraham was with Nimrod for 48 years. And then he rebelled against Nimrod. And we need to understand exactly what is happening there. You know why? Because in the last 200 years, in our world, we have the same rebellion again. The rebellion of Nimrod came back, and the rebellion of Abraham came back. The rebellion of Abraham came back with the Hebrew nation. I need to explain everything. This is only an opening for next week. The rebellion of Abraham came back with the Hebrew nation, and the rebellion of Nimrod came back with Nietzsche, and then with the others in the German states. Okay, if I will show this again, show the screen. It is. We can see it here. Read verse number 3, please. It's related to the Japheth sons. Read verse number 3.
3. And the sons of Gomer were Ashkenaz and Riphath and Togarmah.
Ashkenaz is more or less German. Okay? Ashkenaz,
Northern Europe.
What we call the Ashkenazi. Okay? I'm half Ashkenaz. I'm half Ashkenaz, half Vilnius. So it's a Litvak. I'm half Ashkenaz, half Litvak. But Ashkenaz is a side of the German side, and 200 years ago, and we need to understand that exactly what's happening with this Nietzsche that started some sort of rebellion that broke down the philosophy world of the philosophy world that we had before. He broke it down. And Nietzsche did something very amazing of rebellion that is very, very similar to what Nimrod did. And on the other side, the Hebrew nation did back the rebellion of Abraham. And the world's supposed to decide now where it's going to stand. And we're going to learn this a bit more in depth for next week. And this is where I'm offering you to learn a bit, to read a bit about Nietzsche, and to read a bit about Nietzsche, a bit, not too much, only a bit about Nietzsche, and we will speak about this next week, and it's related also to Nimrod, and we will understand exactly what Nimrod did. I think he was a very great man. It's not written down by mistake in the Bible that he was a very big hero. He was a great man, and he had a very great idea, but he took it 2 steps ahead, and also for himself. And this is where he lost it. So we need to understand exactly what happened there and how to fix it. So at this time of the history, we will do it in the right way. I can confirm to you all, okay, can say to you all that we are on the right side of the coin. So it's okay. Feel comfortable. We're going in the right way. All of us here in this room, but not only this one, with a lot of other people. So feel comfortable. But we're going to learn this next week, hopefully. Okay. Till now, questions till now. Dan, look in the chat. In the chat.
You know, I had a bit of an issue, Rabbi, with the stream at the beginning, or at least on my view. But it looks like we've got plenty of people. I mean, Zakia from South America's joined us. We got my friend Johnny Riggs down there, many others. And we're having a good view compliment on Facebook as well. So, but nobody's asking any questions. You seem to be captivating the audience today, Rabbi.
Okay.
I don't mind speaking.
Yes, Travis. Yes.
I notice, okay, so we talk about the first one world government of Nimrod and how he brought it under, and he believed that he was equal to the creator and he could govern better than the creator. So he set the one world government up for man. And I think that's where he went off, right? That's what you were trying to say. He set it up for himself that he would be controller of the world, basically.
You're saying right things, but it's only on the surface, okay?
Right.
It's much more profound.
Yes. There's a lot more to
profound, and we need to understand exactly what is happening there and how we can do something like that.
But my question is the one world government that the United Nations of this day trying to put together, is it not mirroring everything that Nimrod done, and it's trying to cast God out and become equal to God also? If you look at the way they treat Israel up there, it just tells me that it has to be coming from somewhere around the essence of Nimrod for me.
I will say it, I will answer you like that. Okay, the idea of having this United Nations, it's a good idea. Okay, in practical, they lost it. It's true. Okay, they have, for example, just to realize, for an example, okay, for the last 10 years, in Syria next to us, Assad is killing his brothers. We're speaking about millions of people. We in Israel have a hospital, okay, in the field there, in the border. We have a hospital that is helping the Syrian people. And in the United Nations, they're all the time saying that we are the bad people here in this world. So, they lost it. I can give a lot of examples, okay, with the Hamas, with others. So they lost it. And it's a good question why. The truth is that at the end of the days, I don't know if it will happen in another 5 years or it will happen in another 20 years. But soon it will happen that the United Nations, I will say it like that, will sit in Jerusalem. Okay? And it will be combined with all of the nations that will send here people to learn and to know exactly how to behave as Noahides all over the world. And this will be the main court of the nations, where everybody will come also.
Wow.
Idolatry or the other things. By the way, here we in the Noahide World Center, we have a few dreams, so it's like that, okay? One of the dreams that we're going to do, hopefully another year or year and a half, we will do a very big conference in Jerusalem for all of the Noahides from all over the world. But one of the dreams that we have, and it's written down, and we started to speak to people to find the sources for that, is to build up this place of the nations, because we do understand that it will be in Jerusalem. So this is one of the things that we're supposed to do. The nations in the United States will be only one place, but it won't be the main place. The main place will be in Jerusalem. Of course it will be. And it will be in the right way of judging the nations in the right way, not in the...
Use justice and kindness the way we're supposed to, right?
Exactly.
At that time, I believe that, we will be under the true monarchy, the righteous monarchy of Mashiach. That's the way I see it. Anyway, thank you, Rabbi, for that.
Okay.
Fine. Rabbi Chaim, this is Lee here. I have a question, actually.
We can't see you, Lee.
Sorry, just a second. Here we go.
Yay, good to see you, Lee.
Hey.
Good to see you, Lee.
Hi. Hi. It's a pleasure to be back. Thank you. Actually, I have a question about what we learned about Chanoch, about Enoch. I think they say in English. Azuchal.
No, we didn't spoke about Hanoch. We spoke about
Enosh. Azuchal likol b'shem Hashem. Then he began to call Ben Enosh. You're right. He began to call in the name of God, and the sages say that he began and didn't finish, and therefore it's like a limitation of God.
Exactly.
Nevertheless, we too say that we cannot fully grasp God, right? No thought can fully grasp God. So we too, however much we think we know, we don't actually know him. We can't actually finish calling his name.
You're more than right. There's a very profound writing of Rabbi Cook about this thing, and people are learning this. It's called Yisurim Memarkim. Okay, Mamar Yisurim Memarkim, and people are learning this writing for sometimes even for a year or 3 years or 4 years to understand that. And I know personally someone who is doing a very big project around the world with this thing of how to name God. And we don't know how to name God. And this is one of the things, and it's very important to understand. The Hebrew nation never really named God. Okay, the Hebrew nation more said, we don't know how to name God. We know that he spoke with us. There's a very big difference between those two. Now, we have all sorts of appearance of God. And this is a very big debate in the Kabbalic realm, okay? When we are describing all sorts of ways how God is working in this world, okay? Chesed, Rachamim, Din, v'chulei. Is it God himself or only something
an expression?
Expression that is expressing it. But we say, we don't know how to call God exactly. We do know that he spoke with us. And he spoke with us and he told us to do this and this and this, or that this is what his will, this is what he wants. Therefore, we are feeling obligated to say this to others also, because this is what he asked us to do. But do we know exactly how to call that? Let's be careful with this.
Wow. Rabbi, can I back it up for a second? We got a question online from John Riggs in North Carolina. He's asking, backing it up just a second, he's asking, did the establishment of the UN act to partially undo the confusion of languages at the Tower of Babel?
In some
may play a role.
In some sort of way, only on the technical level. On the technical level, now we can speak one with each other even clearly. But it's only the technical level, because we didn't spoke about this yet. We will speak about this. What is the meaning of the tongue and what is the meaning of the mouth? It's all written down in chapter 10. Okay, I'll show it to you for a moment. We're not going to go to this now, but I'll show you in a moment, just that you will see that it's written down there. Let's go to the last verse. Please read verse number 31 for a moment.
31. These are the sons of Shem according to their families, according to their tongues, in their lands, according to their nations.
So we're speaking about families and opposed to that to nations. And we're speaking about tongues, okay? Tongues, and according to that, we're speaking about the lands. We need to understand this verse. Okay, we didn't learn it yet. The only thing that I can say or the main thing that I can say, that on technical level, in the United Nations, we are managing to start to speak one with each other. This is the first stage, but it's only the first stage. We need to become also families. I will say it like that. Families have relationship one with each other.
Right.
Okay. Nations usually have fights one with each other. Okay. So we need to go back from nations to families, but we're still United Nations. So as you can see, we have a lot of fights there, not only there, but also in the globe.
Right.
So we need to learn this verse and what exactly is the main aim of what's happening here.
Wow, that's amazing, Rabbi. I had a call the other day from a rabbi in Jerusalem, and first time I met the person, and he actually said, "It sounds to me, I feel like I'm talking to a brother." He said to me, and I said, "Well, gee, thank you, but that's that family feeling. Even though I'm not Jewish, but I know, he said it feels like I'm talking to a brother, and I to me it was just a blessing." Can I ask one more difficult question from someone online?
Yes.
He says, what did Hashem show the Jewish people when he opened the seven heavens at Har Sinai?
What did Hashem show them?
What did he show the Jewish people when he opened the seven heavens at Har Sinai? Tough, maybe for a different, that's a whole topic, isn't it? That's a whole class.
It is a topic, but I will show it in one way. In the meanwhile, that I'm finding exactly the exact verse. Okay, I want to answer for a moment to Michaela. There are two main levels of things when we're speaking about things. There is the technical level, and there is also the profound level. Okay, the technical level is, for example, when I'm taking this smartphone, and I can explain to you what is it weight, what exactly is functionality, what exactly it is doing, and how it's working inside, and how the electrons and protons are working inside and everything else. This is the technical level. It's a lot of things that I can measure, outsourcing, okay? There is, on the other side, the phenomenon itself, okay? And the phenomenon itself, it's what exactly is the main thing of this thing, okay?
I'm sorry, Rabbi, it's the Nauman.
The Nauman, yes. If I will ask Michaela, describe me who is Michaela, even you will find it hard to answer who is Michaela. You will start to say a lot of things that are describing you in all sorts of ways. Who is Michaela? Michaela, who is Michaela inside? It's also hard for them. Not only for ourselves, it's hard for us. A lot of things we don't really manage to go inside to the main thing, to the main hardcore. And this is not the technical level. This is a much more profound level, and it's hard to find it. Let me show for a moment, just a moment, to find a. You can read it, read verse number 10, 11, and 12. And this is a, short answer what exactly God showed us. 10 to 13. 10 to
10. The day you stood before the Lord your God at Horeb, when the Lord said to me, assemble the people for me, and I will let them hear my words, that they may learn to fear me all the days that they live on the earth, and that they may teach their children. And you approached and stood at the foot of the mountain, and the mountain burned up with fire to the midst of the heavens with darkness, a cloud, and opaque darkness. The Lord spoke to you out of the midst of the fire. You heard the sound of the words, but saw no image, just a voice.
And 13 also. And he told you his covenant, which he commanded you to do, the 10 commandments, and he inscribed them on 2 stone tablets. So this is, I will say, first answer. Of course, as you said, it's a very big, we need to discuss it a bit more profound, maybe next week. I'm not sure that we will have the time next week to deal with this specific issue, because we want to speak about Nimrod and Abraham and the differences between them. But this is something that we need to learn. This is what we saw in the day of the 10 commandments.
Beautiful.
Okay? Now we will move on to the
Brit Shalom.
Brit Shalom side, and please, this is your stage now. I'm listening.
Thank you. Michael, I also put some links there, some notes in the chat for further reading. These are like philosophical terms going back thousands of years that have taken on different incarnations. So thanks again, everybody, for opening up the forum, and I apologize for my absence. We've had a hell of a month here. Thank God that my wife gave birth, and we had some time in and out of the hospital. In any event, I hope you're all well, and thanks for the opportunity again to learn together. I will start sharing my screen, which I haven't done in a while, and I have to learn again. Here we go. There's the Numenon. One thing which is going back a little bit, but I think there was a question, if I remember correctly, it was from Paul. He asked about U.S. presidents who may have enshrined Noahide law into U.S. law. I looked into it briefly, but here on the Wikipedia article of the 7 Laws of Noah, they link you to the actual proclamations made by Presidents Reagan and Bush Sr. Essentially, what those presidents said are that the Noahide laws are nice, that Western society is based on or is rooted in the Noahide laws. They weren't necessarily enshrined in any sort of legal form. And then they made these days kind of, as you can see here, a national day of reflection or an education day. So they recognized the importance of them, but they weren't enshrined in law. And I think that was the difference that we spoke about. The latter being what we hope for, that these things are not only binding, but also that in addition to the laws themselves, that the connection of these laws to the one who gave those laws is essential.
Thank you, Lee.
With pleasure. Okay, so as far as Rabbi Chaim mentioned to me, so we started chapter 3 together, and we went over the first few laws. And I know this chapter is a bit dense, so you kind of have to get your thinking caps on about believing in God and the oneness of God, and how we relate to that in our everyday lives. So I think I'll just continue on. Rabbi Chaim, you said we got through the first 3 clauses, so I'll start immediately with number 4. I think we have a good deal of material to cover. Okay, so verse or clause here, number 4 in chapter 3, the laws of idolatry, reads as follows: the individual is meant to serve only the creator of the world and no other entity. Okay, and there's I think it's a fine translation, but if we go to the original Hebrew here of Rabbi Cherki, it's written as follows: Ha'adam mishu'abad leboreh ha'olam bilvad. And I might be able to give another translation of the word here, mishu'abad, which is serving, is subservient to. Okay, so we are subservient to the creator of the world only, and to no other entity. And I think that this is a bit of a bombshell of a clause, and it requires a great deal of contemplation. I think that one corollary of this statement is something that the books of ethics or of character development have spoken about throughout the generations, which is called bitachon, trust in God. There is one of the fundamental books in this realm, talking about character development, a person building his the foundation of his or her faith. It's a book called Chovot HaLevavot. It was written approximately the year 1000, maybe 1100, by one of our sages in Spain, Rabbi Pachia. And the translation of the title is called Duties of the Heart. Okay, I wanted to share. This website is one that I learned on many times. He has a very nice translation of the text of the entire book, Duties of the Heart. But the central chapter that talks about trust in God and the implications of one's trust in God to one's everyday life is chapter number 4. It's called The Gate of Trust. So I made a link for this, and I highly recommend for you all to poke around. Blessings to the new edition. Thank you, Lara. So I'm posting the, no, this is not going to Lara, and I have to change it to everyone. There we go. Okay, so this is a link to this website here. Feel free. I've read it multiple times, and it really is life-changing. What is this concept of bitachon, of trust in God, which I think is a corollary. If one truly internalizes that it is only the creator of the world that I'm meant to serve and to fear, then a necessary outgrowth of that is that all other people that I relate to, be it in times of old when there were actually slaves, largely in times of old, or if it's somebody who's more powerful than me or more wiser than me, those are kind of those are happenstance. It's true. This is the way we relate to those people on an everyday basis. But the one who I'm truly serving, and the one who I truly need to, the one relationship that all of my other relationships in life revolves around is God. Rabbi Bachia, he writes in the introduction to his book. I'm sorry, it's in the introduction to this chapter, chapter 4 that I sent you a link to. He says an amazing statement, and I'm sorry I'm belaboring the point, but I really do think that there's a lot trapped in here, and that's why I'm taking the time. He says like this: the essence of trust is the calmness of the one who is trusting. I'm just translating on the fly here, but basically, if I'm rephrasing, he says, if you want to know that you trust in God in your everyday life, check your blood pressure. Okay, if you're calm in your dealings, if you're calm at, in the things that you have to do with work, if you're calm at home and elsewhere, if you're not an anxious person, if you take things in stride, there are things that we have to do and there are things that are out of our control, then you are one who trusts in God. And if you find that you have difficulty in that area, then that's something you need to work on. I also read an interesting article. There's a great website from an organization here in Jerusalem called Esha Torah. It's like a seminary for boys. They also, I think, have a section for girls. But they have many fascinating articles about people kind of coming back to the tradition. They're obviously, unfortunately, there are a lot of Jews who are raised in secular homes today and who know nothing about the tradition. I'm one of them, and so in my exploring of the tradition, I ran across this wonderful article. And the guy is coming back to his roots, and he's starting to interview for work. And it's the first time that he's wearing the kippah on his head, and he's not sure about how to go about it, how to how the interviewer is going to react. And he tries to go with honesty, being upfront. And the interviewer asks him about his priorities in life. And he gave an amazing answer. To this day, I read it maybe 10 years ago or so. I think I still have it bookmarked, but I think it's an amazing answer. And I think it's a corollary of this clause here. He says that my priorities in life are God, family, community, and work, in that order. And I think that if we truly, truly internalize that it is only God that we are serving, and all other relationships that we have in life are ancillary or they're technical, then it really puts our priorities in order. So I urge you to contemplate the things that we spoke about here, to take a look at the link that I sent. It's something that I've thought about a good deal. Let's see.
Well, can I ask a question, Lee?
Please.
You mentioned about the individual is meant to serve only the creator of the world and no other entity. Personally, I have had struggles these last few decades, especially before becoming B'nai Noach, dealing with religion, in the sense that there's this, behind the scenes force to demand service from you. And, religions out there have that tendency. They're looking for service. They're looking for people to do work like rented mules, basically do things for them. And I see this, today, and even we see this growing. Employers today, more so around the globe, they're always trying to hire people on the cheap, be as prudent or economically responsible as possible, but they don't realize the dichotomy, and even that starts to point towards slavery. Am I wrong in thinking this?
I don't think so. There was Rabbi Sachs, peace be upon him, Rabbi Jonathan Sachs. He gave a lecture at Bar Ilan University here in Israel about a year or two ago. And he gave a wonderful talk about the contemporary task of Judaism in the modern world. And he gave all these wonderful ideas. Okay, and there was Q&A at the end. And this young lady, she stands up. She says, "Rabbi, wonderful, wonderful talk. Really great ideas. I just have a practical question. How do we put into practice everything that you said in the world of social media, Facebook, and notifications. You're effectively a servant of, you're expected to be, how do you say, Nagish? You're expected to be available 24/7. If you don't respond within 5 minutes, people have a panic attack.
Like cell phones.
Right? Never mind your employer, right? You're expected to be checking your emails, etc. And he says, I have an old-fashioned answer for you, but I think it really works, and it's called Shabbat. Right? So it built into the Jewish framework, built into the Torah, for mankind, is pausing, is knowing to put things in perspective. And it's really not easy, neither for Jews nor for Noahides, to, for example, okay, you set aside a time to pray. Okay, one of the most difficult times to pray during the day is in the middle. It's called the afternoon prayer, mincha. Okay, why? Because you're in the middle of writing code, or you're in the middle of some sort of lawsuit. You have to pause what you're doing. You then have to entirely clear your mind, and you have to come before the Creator, both in joy and in fear, and to reconnect to what it is exactly that you're doing. Nevertheless, this is the call to action. We're meant to be. I heard somebody say why Jews are commanded to pray 3 times a day. Because we need that recalibration, because it's very easy to get distracted and to lose our purpose, especially today.
Wow. Decompress. That's a good word. Yes. Decompress. I love the answer. Thank you for the Shabbat answer. It just helps me understand more.
Lee, can I say something, please?
Please.
Yes. I will say that the thing of fear of God is one of the interesting and the hard things that we need to learn how to do it exactly. You sent us to a very, very important source that is already written down for more than 1,000 years, but it's a very important source. The main question is, I don't know, think about this logically, okay, with what I'm going to say now. Does God fear for someone else? Of course not. God doesn't fear from anyone. So how can we learn how to fear from God if God doesn't act like that in any way? For example, I'll explain myself a bit more. Kindness we can learn from God. After Adam and Eve did the sin in Eden, God did a very big kindness, and He gave them clothing, even though they sinned to Him in front of Him. So we know to do kindness to others, even though they are doing bad things for us. We learned it from God. Okay, God is giving space to others to live here, so we know to give space to others to live here next to us also. We are learning a lot of things from God. There's one thing that it's a bit harder to learn from God. We don't know how to fear, because God doesn't fear from anyone. So from where are we going to learn how to fear? So it's a bit hard subject. So the source that you gave is very important, but it's a subject that we need to learn a bit in a bit of profound way, exactly how to do that. And it's have a lot of interesting discussions in the Hebrew tradition. Here also the Tanya is coming inside, and not only the Tanya. This is what Rabbi said, the Tanya. Yes, but not only the Tanya. Okay, fine. Sorry.
Right. So yes, it is a topic for lengthy discussion and learning. Just to throw out one idea, there are also different forms of fear given. Right, there's fear and there's awe, or what's called in Hebrew yirat ha'onesh, the fear of punishment. V'yirat ha'romimut, the kind of awe, standing before somebody who or God, who's immensely powerful and great and wise, and different forms of fear, and they invoke within us. They can invoke within us either negative or positive, also emotion. So a great deal to be discussed. And I don't know, maybe we can pick up a text or multiple texts for a future class. I think it's a central idea. I'll touch on it a little bit more later on. Okay, there's a question here also. Matityahu asked about the difference between bitachon and emunah. in a sense, I don't know. It's a very, very fine line. But basically, emunah comes from the shoresh emun, to also to kind of have faith in or to trust in. And the way I heard it is explained is, I have trust in my wife. Okay, I know that she'll take care of me and she'll take care of our children and our household needs. Okay, and therefore I feel a sense of bitachon. I feel this calmness and confidence. Right? I've also heard bitachon translated as confidence. Okay, so I know that I can rely on her, and that instills in me a sense of confidence and calmness. But they're very interrelated, and I've heard many rabbis kind of it's kind of splitting hairs. They're very interrelated. With pleasure. I think we spoke a little bit about fear. Okay, fine. Okay, so clause 5. Therefore, the Torah commands every person not to engage in ritual worship, except in worship of God, and any other form of worship is forbidden and is known as idol worship or idolatry. Verse here 5, or clause here 5, 6, and I think also a little bit of 7 and 8. I'll just mention it now. He's going to talk. It's going to be starting to talk here about also prayer and the way you kind of rituals here, as it says here, forbidden ritual practices, right, that are associated with idolatry. I think what I wanted to mention here is there's a difference. There's a world of a difference between what somebody is doing and what they're feeling when they're doing it. Okay, so somebody could be following all of the Torah law and not feeling it, and that person would be considered distant from God. Simultaneously, somebody could be not keeping certain things, but really feeling a sense of closeness to God. What I wanted to mention in this respect is, it just escaped me. I apologize. It's possible that a person could be following all of the laws, but in a way that it's kind of like it's still an idol worship. The God that they are serving is it's either a God that instills fear or doesn't bring a person to manifest their full potential in the world. Or even again, as we said previously, even I think Rabbi Shirky mentions this later. Even an emotion like anxiety, it sounds like an extreme statement, but even an emotion like anxiety, anxiety, let's say about my work or about something that my everyday dealings. It's some like lachluchit. It's like a very, very, very minor form of idol worship, because I'm fearing some sort of interaction with another person, or some sort of I don't know. Now I'm in the process of buying a house. Okay, so I had to deal with the lawyers and with the seller, and I was getting nervous out of it. And it might not be the form of idolatry that's talked about in legal matter, or that a person could, God forbid, be punished for. But nevertheless, it's these statements here require a deep sense of contemplation, a deep contemplation to really internalize, and again to come to this sense of trust and confidence, as we said, bitachon and emunah in a person's everyday life, to really be worshiping God and not some other idea or entity. So I apologize if it's a bit of a rant, but I think some of these clauses here kind of circle around this idea. Okay, I wanted to mention here in clause 5, it comes up also a little bit further down, but the concept of praying to righteous individuals. Okay, so this is generally frowned upon, what's called tzaddikim. I think this is also practiced rather widely in the Christian world, the idea of praying to saints. This is generally frowned upon, and the main recommendation, legally speaking, in Torah law, is that we beseech God, okay, and it is only God. It is only to God that we pray, but nevertheless, we could be praying in the merit of a righteous person. Okay, because God loves this righteous person, and this righteous person made a lot of correction in the world, and therefore in his or her merit, we'll be praying directly to God. This again, it'll come up here in clause 8. I just wanted to mention it. Okay, clause 6, again, a bit of a bombshell. I think a lot of these are either in practice or also in, also in a person's feeling and spirit in everyday life. It's forbidden to worship another entity while also worshiping the Creator. This prohibition is called shituf, okay, literally sharing sovereignty with God, okay, as if God is in charge, but he's like a co-manager with another entity. And this includes the Christian belief that encourages worshiping a man, Jesus, in addition to God. Okay? We want all of our energies, all of our thoughts, all of our learning, our prayer, all of the mitzvot, the commandments that we fulfill, all of the energies that we exude into the world to be directed to fulfilling the one will, the will of God. And as soon as we separate that, either in more formalized religion, or also, as we spoke about, even a lack of trust in God, we make a division in the world, and this division needs correction. It can lead to great distraught personally and around us, and it's a lifetime of work. It's a lifetime of work to have this unity also in our hearts and in our actions. Sorry, there's just a lot of blinking here. Thank you, Lee. If we fabricate God in our mind from beliefs, is that idolatry? Peter, can you elaborate? What do you mean by fabricating God in our mind?
Yes, if we sort of like have fantasies, or we get a belief system from somewhere, say we watch a movie about God, like the Ten Commandments or something on the television, we conjure up what we think God is, and it's taking on board someone else's belief and then print it in our own mind. Is that a form of like fantasy and sort of like idolatry?
So I think kind of a good starting point is the fundamental tenets laid out by Maimonides, the Rambam, already 800, 900 years ago. He's obviously taking these from Talmudic sources, right? He has his what are called the 13 principles of faith. Okay, I think it's a pretty good starting point, right? Where God doesn't have physical form, right? Etc. The belief in Torah from heaven, the Torah was communicated to Moses, etc. Also Maimonides and other classical sources of his time, they went in a direction of basically I forget the basically negation. How do we come to know God? We come to know God by by not associating things that could be limited, not associating them with him. Okay, so even there's some sort of like a debate as to whether we should be using a gender at all with in referring to God. Even this it's a limitation. Okay, so trying to remove all limitations from God. This was their approach. Okay, so that he's not limited in this way and he's not limited in that way, and kind of the void, if you will, that's left in our mind is as if the closest that we can get. There's a statement made in it's brought from the Zohar, the medieval work of Kabbalah, Leit machashava tfisa bach klal. Okay, no thought can grasp you. Rabbi Chaim mentioned it's a little bit of a tangent. I'll answer in two more sentences, and maybe Rabbi Chaim we can discuss further. I'll try to answer maybe in just 2 sentences. There's a difference in speaking about what God is in his essence, trying to grasp God's essence. It's difficult to what he is actually. We cannot do this. All of that we can really speak about is the way that God interacts in the world, acts in the world, the behaviors, the character traits that he expresses to us. Yeah. This is all that we can really talk about, because this is what he communicated to us, and this is what he gave us permission to discuss. I think it's a little bit of a much deeper discussion. I hope it helps.
I will try to expand this a bit more. You're saying very good points, Lee, and how you're saying describing it is also good. I will give an example. I think this will maybe help all of us to understand. If I will ask all of us, okay, I have a light here in this room. I have a light. If I will speak about the light, is it sour, the light, or is it sweet? What taste the light have? We will also understand that it's not speaking on the same realm, you know. The light is, maybe it have a color, you know. The color is white or black or something, you know, blue or something else. But we can't speak about the light. We can't speak about the light with the taste in the mouth, because those are two different things. And the same thing is to try to speak about God. Everything that we are defining in our world, and it's very interesting to see that with Helen Keller, okay, the blind woman who was also deaf and also didn't saw. She was blind and she was deaf, and how she is expressing when we're starting to define things. Every word that we are using is defining something. Now, all those definitions, all the definitions that we have today, God created them, but He is from a different level. You know, it's like, it's hard for us to understand that, because it's the same thing like when we're saying that we, for example, living in the time, even all the Star Trek movies and other movies, you know, from all the aliens and everything else, starts with this and this point in the space, and this is this point of time. Because we, all of us, all the time, in time, sitting in time. God is above those things. So it's hard for us to speak about Him. We can't. Everything that we're trying to express or to say, it's like speaking about the light and trying to express it with taste. The light doesn't have any connection with taste. So the words that we use today, all the words that we use, are not describing God. They can describe something else. We know that He interfered in this world. He, for example, promised, this is what we read in our Parsha, He promised the Hebrew people that He will bring them back to their homeland, and He's doing this after 200 years. Okay? He promised us that after 2,000 years of exile, He will bring us back to our homeland, and He's doing that. He's doing that. So we can speak about His appearance in this world, but we can't speak about Him Himself. And as I also hinted before, if I will ask you, Lee, okay, Peter, I will ask you, describe me, Peter, you will start to also to have complications with that, because you can describe me a lot of things that you are doing, or a lot of names that people put on you, okay? For example, you're an engineer, I don't know what exactly you're doing, okay? But you can describe a lot of things that people are putting on you, but people never can say exactly who is Peter, okay? And I will tell you a secret. Also, we have complications when we're trying to define ourselves, which we have a lot of times a bit of complication how exactly to define ourselves, because it's very hard to seek inside. So we're trying to define God. You know, let's be with a bit of humble, you know. Let's be with a bit of
more, you see, the more we think of and the more we see, the more we understand God, we're missing God, if you see what I mean, if we fill our minds up with our preconceived ideas.
So Rabbi Shirky has also a long discussion about this topic, and he brings I forget, I think it's in chapter 65 of Psalms of Tehillim. I forget the exact number, but in it, King David says, "Lecha dumya tehillah." Okay, there it says like to you silence is praise. This is the translation. Okay, and the way it's interpreted in this manner is that it's best when thinking about God or discussing God, it's almost best to remain silent, because anything you try to put into words, anything you try to put into some sort of box of an idea, a word or some concept in your mind, it's already trapping. It's already limiting. Right. So I heard one rabbi once say that God is nothing. What does he mean? He is no thing, right? Because anything that is created was created by him. So he is the another way it is put. He is the soul of creation.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are almost done with the timing, and Travis have a question about Shituf. So please let's Travis have a question.
Oh, well, yes, sir. You know me, I'm not easy. I've been reading, I read the book. If you see, I've been marked up. To perfect the world, the Lubavitcher Rebbe is called to teach the Noahide code to all mankind. And in one of them, it says, according to several opinions, it is only forbidden for Gentiles to worship actual idolatry, while belief in a subordinate power in comparison to God is, strictly speaking, permitted. Nevertheless, this only means that such a belief is not forbidden. Okay, so my question when we get to here, we were talking about prayer. So we have this and learned that it's not strictly forbidden. I'm trying to teach my family and friends at the end of their prayer not to pray with the name of Jesus. I don't know if that's right or wrong. So that's my question. Is they're praying and they finish and they say in the name of Jesus. Is that a proper or improper thing to do?
So I didn't want to get into the nitty gritty, but I appreciate that you do, and this is what our Beit Midrash, this is what our Hall of Study is meant for. So thank you, Travis. There is in fact a comment here from Rabbi Shirky. He brings sources that provide a certain leniency towards some ideas in Christianity, but the prevalent opinion, and if you will, the what we will teach towards ante facto from the get-go is that this is improper. We want utter unity in one's worship of God. Right? It's like it's obviously a very far example, but it's like, a person is married, has a husband and wife, and I'm going to have a little something on the side. I'm 99% committed to you, and I'm a little bit 1% committed to somebody else.
I understand.
Even if somebody could make.
Mm-hmm. But Travis, I want to say, first of all, Lee is very exact with what he answered, and I want to say again things that we spoke also yesterday. Okay, we need to be also very smart. We don't need to fight with our families. We don't need to bring the edge, and especially for the things that some sages in the Hebrew nation are saying that it's okay. So for those things, for sure, we don't need too much to do to push and too much to do some sort of we call in Hebrew balagan, to do all sorts of discussions that are going to lead to very hard feelings inside the families and inside the people that we have very close to us, because it's very, very important also to have peace. So we don't need, we can't say that for having peace and a good relationship with others, I'm also going to lie. I'm not saying that. But there are things that we need to be aware not to go inside too much, because it's not worth it. And it's not that, it's 100% they acting wrong or false.
Correct. Thank you. Yeah, that's about what the book is all about, pretty much. The writings is to stay nice, don't turn people off, don't run them away from God. That's a lot about what this book is about, is how to talk to people. And it's mostly speaking to the Jewish nation on how to talk to us, all right? The Noahide out here. Anyway, thank you very much.
Be a good guy. That's yeah. I mean, I can speak personally. From my own experience, having been raised in a secular Jewish family and coming back to the Jewish tradition, I was told very outright, be a nice guy. You don't want to come home now with certain Jewish laws. And now the way that my parents raised me, everything is, or God forbid, idolatry, or they're bad people. A tremendous amount of who I am today is thanks to my loving parents and the values that they instilled in me. And, so we need to find very, very clever ways, as Rabbi Chaim said. We need to be very, very wise in how we interact, and as they say in Hebrew, to run through the raindrops, to choose our battles very, very wisely. Sure, yes. So how do I undo it? Here, stop share.
Fine. If there are any more questions or something, if not, we are almost on the end of the night of tonight. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for coming. You know, it's for us. It's we have also England here. We have also South Africa. Wow. Wow, Lisa, good to see you. This is South America. Hodu also. We have China. We have India also with us. Oh, I'm sorry, Israel. We have Yaakov Yaakov. Wow. Okay, I see that nobody have any questions. You're very polite tonight. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Excellent. Okay, folks, so we're going to sign off. Thanks for being with us today, live from Jerusalem with Rabbi Chaim Goldberg. Always a wonderful class. Always a joy to see so many people climb in on the Zoom room, and all of you that joined in on Facebook, YouTube, all around. Share this message out there, folks. Get some people interested. It's always good to hear the light of Torah, especially coming out of the nation of Israel. So, Hashem willing, Rabbi, are we on for next week, same time?
Hopefully, yes. We will be up live, and have everybody a blessing week. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Amen.
All right, folks, till next week, have a wonderful, wonderful time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.